What's up, y'all? Savage Tiger. I'm here to talk about something a little bit different today. I mean, it still got to do with college football, but it's just a little rant about the college football playoffs and why it's not expanding and how stupid fans portray teams with this flawed system of college football that we had forever since its existence. Well, as you know, right now we have the way we determine a national champion is four teams in the college football playoffs, and that's way too little, man. And we had an opportunity to expand at basically by this year. This could have been the first year that we're using like a 12-team playoff format. But pussies around the world don't want to expand because they know they're not gonna have no easy path of winning. Like, my biggest complaint is I'm talking to you, Bob. I forget your last name, Bob Bowlesby. Yeah, so the commissioner of the Big 12 conference, who voted against the expansion, and you, sir, is a pussy, man. My goodness. You know, the Big 12 conference has one team, and now you're afraid of more competition. So that's why you threw yourself in the SEC. You got two teams joining the SEC, Oklahoma and Texas. Oklahoma is is an elite program. They'll do well. They could do well in the conference as long as they recruit well, which I think they will. Texas, forget it. I'll believe what they're back when I see it. Every year we're hearing these clowns saying they're back. But my biggest complaint is that how you're such a pussy to not favor expansion because of a chaos and NIL stuff, and how things are uncertain because of teams going to a lot of teams moving conferences. That is bullshit. Now we have to wait till fucking 2025 in order to get an expansion. This is bullshit, man. And I know the college football playoff will expand one day. I know one day it's inevitable it's going to expand. But because from the existence of college football was like the 1800s or something, all the way until 1997, they used a weird system of they just played bowl games and they just determined the national champion by the AP, the Associated Press poll. And there was no really a national championship game until 1998 when they created something called the BCS, which is the Bowl Championship Series, where they have a poll of rankings from week 1 to like week 7 or 8, and they go by from that time frame they go by the AP and the coaches poll rankings, which I don't understand why they have separate polls. Just have one fucking poll of rankings. You're confusing the hell out of teams or something. But what we normally go by is the Associated Press, the AP. And then after that, at the 9th week, I think, like basically the first week of November or last week of October, one of those weeks, they create the BCS, the Bowl Championship Series standings. They start ranking you there. Those are the standings at the end of the day. It's formulated by computers, by point systems, some weird point system by computers, but like by your strength of schedule and your wins, margin of victory, how you won, how you lost. You know, all that stuff that you can put into the equation there. But now, and it has been flawed a couple times. Some national championship teams have been robbed. Some teams that should have been playing in the national championship team have been robbed in that 15-year period. So that from 1998 to 2013, that system existed. And basically, what happens is at the end of the year, at the end of the season, after the conference championships are played, they make one final BCS standings that comes out every Sunday or something. I know the AP rankings come out every Sunday, but the BCS probably on Monday or Tuesday, something like that. I know the new system, college football playoff, comes out every Tuesday, the rankings. So somewhere around there. I don't remember much because it's been like probably over 10 years since we had a BCS. But then that's it. Then the teams ranked number 1, number 2 in that poll are the ones playing in the national championship. Then everybody else plays in bowl games. One final game. Anyone that's bowl eligible, which is at least a 6-6 record, can play in a bowl. And I think that is the worst system I've ever seen in any sport. And my favorites in the sport that I love the most. I'm a college football nut, okay? I can tell you everything. I watch every single game I can. For years, man, I've done this, and I plan to do it for the rest of my life. I watch every single sport, like the college basketball, the NBA, the NFL, all that. I watch everything, but college football is unmatched. The energy, the passion, the fans. And it's a shame that we have the most flawed system that's ever known to man. Like, we can't get a proper system in for playoffs to determine national champions, to give more teams a fair chance at it, man. To give more teams a fair chance at hardware. You know, good deserving teams deserve some type of hardware at some point, instead of these bowl consolation prizes that don't mean a damn thing, even though it's some piece of hardware going to your school. But it doesn't show much at all. There could be more hardware showcased if you had a proper system. Like the NFL playoffs. They actually have a 12-team playoff, and it works great. The NBA playoffs, they play best of 7. I mean, I don't think you should play best of 7. Like, they should be able to only one game in football, because football is just that much more of a physical sport than basketball. And baseball, they do like best of 7 series and all that in the playoffs. But I think NFL can do it. High schools can do it. The FCS can do it, which is they stands for Football Championship Subdivision, which is the lower level of. There's 2 levels of Division 1 when it comes to football. When it comes to college football, there's 2 levels of Division 1. There's the FCS, which is the lower level. And you can look up, if you don't know what that is, you can just look it up online. You'll see all the teams. They have their own conferences too. They actually have a proper playoff format that they use so they can determine national champions. They have conferences. They have, I gotta do more. I barely watch the FCS. I'm more into the FBS, which is the other division of Division 1. The other level is the FBS, which stands for Football Bowl Subdivision. And you want to know why it's called bowl? Yeah, because we play pointless bowl games at the end of the season for consolation prizes. That's the kind of retarded system that had been created since its existence. Now, I know we can. My team is LSU. I'm an LSU Tiger fan, okay? You know, forever. It's forever LSU. Always Tigers on top, man. And we have, outside of all this weird systems, we still are one of the most successful programs in the country over the past 20-something years. Basically, the start of this century. Even though we had the last 2 years as down years, 1 year doesn't really count because of COVID. No one really counts it except for Alabama fans because they won the national title. So Only they claim that, nobody else recognizes it. It's basically an asterisk. But I've gotten into that before. That's not the point. But just had to remind everyone, in case you have short-term memory. But yes, outside of all that, LSU has 2 BCS championships and one championship in the college football playoff era. Oh yeah, the college football playoff was a system now created judging by just 2 teams playing for the national championship. Now you got a playoff. You got semifinals, so you got 4 teams. Basically, it's the same thing as the BCS. You have the separate poll coming out after 2 months that ranks the teams, and at the end of the, excuse the noise, just little kids, my grandma's neighbors across from us. It's the same system, just they got the final four, in the final poll, the four teams have the playoff, the semifinal, and then they play then they reach the final 2 teams playing the national championship. That's how it's been since 2014. Because I told you the BCS was from 1998 to 2013. So 15 years of the BCS. LSU has 2 titles there. It should have had a 3rd. But that's a different story. That's part of one BCS flaw. That's why they had to expand that. I know it's eventually going to expand, but some retards that created college football have not created this, have not done good in having a proper system. And you know what? That's for just y'all to blame. And it's commissioner's fault that we're stuck another 4 years of this damn system. And then we have stupid fans that were just born yesterday thinking that if you're not in the playoffs, you know how hard it is with 4 teams. It's hard to get there. You basically got to win your conference to get in, basically, 95% of the time. And sometimes you're just not going to as good of a team as a team you are. So it's just not fair. Like, then to basically get a consolation prize as a bowl if you're not playing in the playoffs that has 4 teams. That's what but I know it eventually expand, but it's just taking, and it's going to be long overdue. Best believe I'm going to be on here when it does, and I'm going to be real happy. Now, folks that say that it's not going to change anything, the same teams will win, well, we'll just see about that. You've seen bowl games where some teams that are not expected to win, they beat the favorite team. It happens all the time. Like, look at 27. I can point out examples, a lot of examples. Look at 2017 in the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl in Atlanta. UCF beat Auburn and was the only undefeated team that year and didn't get into the playoffs. And they beat a good team. They beat a team, Auburn, that beat Alabama, the national champion, that wasn't even playing in its conference championship on a Saturday and got a free pass to the playoffs. Yeah, that tells you all about the corruption of this sport as well. But, oh well. I just had to give everybody my thoughts on all this, and I know it'll expand at some point, but not until at least 2025, sadly. We got at least 4 more years of this college football playoff 4-team system. But, LSU's going to try to get one again. You best believe we are. And, it's sad that NFL and even high school football in the lower division, and then the FCS, the lower division of Division 1, and I think Division 2 and Division 3 football also do playoffs. They have like a proper system of it, probably like 16 teams or something like that. Like several teams in there have a chance. And then the FBS, at one point you wouldn't know who for a century. You would not know who a champion is until like the very end. People vote on it. Then for the next 15 years, you have two teams at the end of the day having a chance to play. Basically, you have to make the top two at the end to play, and then now you have to just be the top four. Every, and I know it eventually. Eventually, it's gonna expand. It's gonna be all good. But pussy commissioner, you're at fault for this. This is bad, and it's a bad look on you. And you stupid fans out there that were just born yesterday and don't have any IQ, majority from the South. Even my own LSU fans, I gotta call out on this too, because a lot of LSU fans are also pretty obnoxious. I'll give y'all that. Other teams that complain about us, and y'all, when y'all say like a team is not relevant if you're not making the playoffs or if you're not, that is just false, man. I believe if you have at least 8-9 wins, you're relevant, and if you have like 9 or 10, at least you're elite. That you're as a team, because there's so many teams. There's 130 teams in the FBS level, and to be having a lot of wins, no matter who you play, it's good, and especially a team like LSU that plays in basically one of the toughest, if not the best, toughest conference in the country, the SEC. If not, but it's all right. We have stupid fans all the time saying things like, "Where's your If your consistency is if you make the playoffs a lot." I mean, like Alabama and Clemson. I get it. Alabama been great with one head coach, Nick Saban. Congrats. I mean, we're beating you this year, but yeah, man, good for you. I mean, LSU made it once. I wish that, and we're still one of the most consistent programs in the country since 2000. If you're going in 247 Sports, we're rated number 2 most of the best programs since 2000. Even after our last 2 down years, not down years, bad years. So if you want to ever say something like that, you might want to check your brain out. If you ever want to say something like LSU is not good, you need to check your brain out. Have we had our struggles the last 2 years? Yes. And we still putting players in the NFL. That's what I know. Problem has been coaching. And now we got a brand new and probably a much better coaching staff. And we'll be all right. I believe that. But don't be saying stupid shit like that about consistency, about making the 4-team playoff. That is hard as fuck to make. Especially when you play a tough-ass schedule. Every year. That's why we were ranked at number 2 of best programs in the country since 2000 and on 247 Sports. It said, we have been with the premier dynasty of college football, Alabama, for many years. Well, yeah, we'll get to that another story. Alabama only can be good with one coach. And I'm glad, you know what, to an extent, I'm glad that Alabama's good. They haven't been good the whole damn century, their whole damn history until Nick Saban. LSU has won a national title, at least one national title, and at least one SEC title with every coach they've had in the past 3 coaches. Ed Orgeron, Les Miles, and then, of course, Nick Saban started first. But we can win without Nick Saban. We've proven that. Bama, y'all can't. And that will come to proof in the future. You know it will. You haven't won before him either. But you bandwagon fans ain't going to remember that because y'all just hopped on when y'all suddenly saw, Alabama's doing great. I was going to become a fan of them. Yeah, the same people there, they're going to be that want to just feel great about themselves and be the best because feel great about themselves by being on a team that's winning a lot. You're going to be the same fans. They're going to jump. Y'all going to be, after Nick Saban leaves, I promise you, your same bandwagons are going to be jump. You're going to be posing as Georgia fans next or something. Whatever elite program they're like Ohio State fan, whatever team you want to be a part of. That's cool. Man, no one pays attention, no one gives a shit about y'all. But you real fans that are idiots, yeah. Know what? That's because your program does great, right? Does great and does some of the best in the country. That's fine. But you gotta give respect where it's, you gotta acknowledge that there are other programs out there competing too. You'll be quick to find out it's not just y'all it's not y'all and everybody else. Even though, as dominant as y'all been, for the last 10 years or so, that's like what 13 years since y'all had, since Nick Saban came, yeah. My bad, just picking something up that I dropped. But yeah, man, I just wanted to cover all this, rant about the playoff, the expansion, the systems we use here in college football. The different divisions and how some of the lower ones can have a better system than the FBS does. And then I wanted to rant a little bit about the stupid fans that talk about consistency in the system we have, which relates to the rant. Basically, what made me inspire me to do this video about this rant over the college football playoffs. Yeah, I think I've covered everything. And like, comment, subscribe, share the video. Only if you feel like it. You don't have to if you don't feel like it. I'll be back again when something interesting comes up. But yeah, go Tigers. You know what it is. It's about 2 months till football season. Hey, go Tigers, man. It's forever LSU. And catch y'all next time.